Happy New Year! I'm James Harbeck, and for today's pronunciation tip, I'm going to tell you how to say Happy New Year in 27 different languages. Why 27? Well, that's the number of languages that I am confident enough in the pronunciation of to tell you about. That's it. You will notice that they do tend to skew more towards certain areas and groups than others. That's just happenstance of the stuff that I've gotten to know more about. Also, there are some areas where Happy New Year is just not really a thing you say. It's the language would have some sort of awkward adaptation to accommodate that for, the Western influence, European influence celebration, or they would just say it in English or French or whatever. So, which, by the way, some of the languages I'm going to be telling you about are of cultures that don't celebrate New Year on January 1st. They celebrate it at another time according to their calendar. Okay, well, that's great. It just means you can come back here again and watch this video then. And fast forward to the language you want. Also, I should say, not all of these literally mean Happy New Year. Some mean Good New Year, some mean Happy Year, some mean Good Year, some mean something similar. I'm going to go through them in alphabetical order because why not? So, let's go. Afrikaans. Gelukkige nieuwe jaar. Gelukkige nieuwe jaar. Basque. Urte verri on. Urte verri on. Basque, by the way, is a linguistic isolate, meaning it's not actually related to any other languages. It's in southwestern France and northern Spain. And it has some interesting examples of grammatical ergativity and... No grammar. Breton. Blavisma. Blavisma. Breton, by the way, in case you didn't know, is a Celtic language that's spoken in northwestern France, specifically in Brittany. If you think, Breton, Brittany, that seems like Britain. Well, there's a reason for that, and the reason is that these are actually the descendants of people who came across the Channel from Britain when the Germanic invaders came, bringing with them the Anglo-Saxon languages. There are a lot of people who just stayed in England and started speaking Anglo-Saxon, but some went over to France and kept speaking Breton, although over the years, of course, it took on some French influence, as you might expect. Chinese. 新年快乐. 新年快乐. I should say this is Mandarin specifically. There are many kinds of Chinese, and the only kind that I have any familiarity with is Mandarin. Fortunately, it's the one that'll get you the farthest generally. It's spoken the most widely. You'll notice that there are two character sets. Actually, they only differ in this case by one character. There's the traditional, and then there's the simplified. The simplified characters were introduced in the Republic of China in the last century just to aid in literacy and helping people to read and write more because they're simplified forms. But they haven't taken over everywhere. The traditional ones are still widely used in scholarship and around the world, and they're official in Taiwan. Anyway, 新年快乐. Croatian. Sretna nove godina. Gonna try that again. Croatian. Sretna nova godina. Sretna nova godina. Czech. Szczęsny nowy rok. Szczęsny nowy rok. You might think, well, Croatian and Czech are both Slavic languages. They're not that far apart, are they? Why is there a difference between Godina and Rok? Well, there is, and you'll notice the same difference. They both mean year, by the way. You'll notice the same difference between Russian and Ukrainian when we get to them in alphabetical order. Danish. Godt nytår. Godt nytår. Dutch. Gelukkig nieuwjaar. Gelukkig nieuwjaar. Estonian. Head ut aastat. Head ut aastat. Finnish. Finnish is close to Estonian geographically and linguistically. You might expect them to be quite similar. Well, in Finnish, Happy New Year is onnellista uutta vuotta. Onnellista, which means happy, uutta, new, vuotta, year. But I should say uutta vuotta is specifically in the partitive inflection, which means it's the same way if you said have some cake or have some pie. It's, have some Happy New Year. Have some Happy New Year. Here, have some. French, bonne année. Bonne année, bonne année. I mean, I suppose you could say bonne nouvelle année, but it's bonne année. German, frohes neues Jahr. Frohes neues Jahr. Ja. Greek, kali chronia. Kali chronia. Good year. Like a tire. But you never get tired of a good year. Icelandic, gledilegt nicht our. Gledilegt nicht our. Note that the double T in nicht is pre-aspirated. They do that with the double voiceless stops in Icelandic. And the A with an accent on it is au. Only in Icelandic. Don't try to transfer that over to other Scandinavian languages. Indonesian, selamat tahun baru. Selamat tahun baru. Irish. I love Irish. Irish is such a fun language. Irish terrifies people because they look at it and then they hear it, and what they hear is not what they see because they're used to not Irish spelling. Irish spelling is internally consistent but completely different from what you're used to, probably. Also, Irish has some fun grammar points that I'm going to tell you about in a moment. But first of all, there are two ways of saying it, depending on whether you're addressing one person or several. If it's one person, it's Aflian fuiwasha chuit. Aflian fuiwasha chuit. If it's several people, it's Aflian fuiwasha thuiv. Aflian fuiwasha thuiv. So, chuit to you specifically, thuiv to you all. Aflian means New Year. Blian year, Aflian New Year. Fuiwasha literally means under happiness or under grace, under wonderful things. Irish loves these prepositional phrases. It uses them a lot instead of having just, an adjective or in some cases a verb. It would say, okay, here's this noun and you are in it or on it or under it. In this case, happiness is like a blanket or a glowing cloud descending on you. Aflian fuiwasha thuiv. Italian, buon anno. Good year. Buon anno. Buon anno. Make sure. One syllable, buon, two, anno. Buon anno. Japanese. There are three ways to say it in Japanese, depending on how long you want to keep talking. The full length is Akimashite omedetou gozaimasu. Akimashite omedetou gozaimasu. Gozaimasu is the part you can leave off more readily. It means very or yes or certainly or woohoo. Omedetou means congratulations. Akimashite means not so much literally New Year as opening up. So congratulations on the opening up. And you can, by the way, only say that after the New Year has already started. Don't say it before. That's inappropriate. So you can say akimashite, or you can say akimashite omedetou, or you can say akimashite omedetou gozaimasu. Hi. Latvian. Laimīgu jaunu gadu. Laimīgu jaunu gadu. Norwegian. Gott nytt år. Gott nytt år. Polish. Szczęśliwego nowego roku. Szczęśliwego nowego roku. Portuguese. Feliz ano novo. Feliz ano novo. Russian. S novym godom. S novym godom. Notice the godom. That's like godina in Croatian. And also the s is just, it's not sa. You don't say sa novim. It's just s novim. Godom. Spanish. Feliz año nuevo. Or if you're in Spain, Feliz año nuevo. Just the one difference. Feliz año nuevo. Feliz año nuevo if you're in Spain. Many people will be happy to tell you that you must say Feliz año nuevo and not Feliz ano nuevo because Feliz ano nuevo means happy new butthole. Where were we? Swedish. Gott nytt år. Gott nytt år. Ukrainian. Z novým rokom. Z novým rokom. See? Rokom, like in Czech. Rok. And again, the z is like the Russian s in that it has no vowel. Z novým rokom. And finally, Welsh. Blwyddyn newydd dda. Blwyddyn newydd dda. Blwyddyn means year, and you might think, oh yes, that's just like the Blian and Afblian, New Year, yes. Or like the Blaves in Breton. I'm sure you're thinking that, right? It's really obvious or something. Anyway, newydd means new and dda means good. Although by itself it would be da, but in this context it gets this softening to dda. Anyway, Happy New Year already.